Hi, I'm Savannah and I'm a heritage language learner. What is a heritage language learner? Well, when I was growing up, I lived with my dad and other times my mom. When I lived with my mom, I lived in a big house with a lot of her siblings and my cousins. My uncle taught at a Hawaiian immersion school and his children went there too. So, when they were home, they'd speak in Olelo, Hawaii. We'd sit down at dinner and they'd talk about their day in Hawaiian. When I turned 8, my dad married my stepmom, Michelle. She spoke Spanish, and a year later, my brother was born. She spoke to him only in Spanish. I am a heritage language learner. So let's take a look at what a heritage language is. A heritage language is a language learned at home at a young age. This language is usually a minority language in a society the child is growing up in. The speaker is usually more comfortable communicating in the society's dominant language. I grew up in a society that spoke dominantly English. Hawaiian and Spanish were prominent, but were secondary. They are my heritage languages. First, let's look at the way that we learn language. Language has a lot to do with something called the age of acquisition. The earlier a child is learning a language, the more likely it will be that that child will speak and understand that language. A heritage language learner is a child who learns a secondary language in the home and does not speak that language fluently because they live in a society that has a different dominant language. I was exposed to Hawaiian language at a very young age, probably around the age of 4, because this is when the second of one of my cousins began to go to Hawaiian immersion school, and so Hawaiian language began to be used in our home often. When I was young, I spent much of my time surrounded by my cousins. I would ride with them to school, and my uncle would watch me. We would play with their friends while he coached football. Now, because I only lived with my grandmother half the time and my father the other half, I was not exposed to Olelo, Hawaii all the time. However, when I began to take Olelo, Hawaii classes in high school, I found myself very comfortable with the vocabulary and grammatical structure. While this is a heritage language, it's especially common within indigenous languages, like mine. For example, the language Kere is spoken by the Maori people. About 4 out of 5 Maori are not able to speak their language fluently. The study done in 2002 that often mentioned the colonization of New. It is by the taking away of indigenous languages, colonial agendas were achieved more swiftly. This is the case with most indigenous cultures. The question beckons itself: how do you encourage young language speakers to speak non-dominant languages regularly? It is important to speak to children as much as possible in their heritage languages so that they do not atrophy. It is also important to surround your children with TV shows and books in those languages. I feel that my heritage languages make me truly unique, and I really do make up my language background with them.